Introduction: a fairy tale with fangs. Imagine a simple children's story about farm animals. Horses, pigs, sheep, hens, all living under the rule of a farmer. Sounds innocent, doesn't it? But George Orwell was not writing about animals. He was writing about people, power, and politics. Animal Farm is a fable, a short novel that uses animals as stand-ins for real history. Specifically, it's a satire of the Russian Revolution of 1917 and the rise of the Soviet Union under Stalin. But don't let that fool you into thinking it's only about Russia. Orwell's warning is universal: wherever power is concentrated, wherever leaders promise freedom but deliver control, the story of Animal Farm can repeat itself. Orwell himself was a democratic socialist, but he had seen firsthand how revolutions could rot into tyranny. He fought in Spain against fascists, but also witnessed communists betraying their own ideals. Out of that experience came this little book, simple enough for a child to read, but sharp enough to cut any dictatorship to pieces. So, as we walk through Animal Farm, think of it not just as a tale about pigs and horses, but as a mirror. A mirror for politics, for power, and maybe even for ourselves. Microphone emoji. Chapter 1, Old Major's Dream. The story begins at Manor Farm, owned by a careless, often drunk farmer named Mr. Jones. His animals live a hard life, they work long hours, are fed poorly, and face the whip when they stumble. Already, Orwell sets the stage: exploitation, inequality, and the yearning for change. One night, the animals are summoned to a secret meeting in the barn. At the center of it all is Old Major, a prize boar, respected for his wisdom. He tells the animals he has had a dream of freedom. Old Major's speech is stirring, and if you read it aloud, it feels like a mix of sermon and political manifesto. He reminds the animals that they live as slaves. They produce milk, eggs, wool, and labor, but the fruits of that labor are stolen by humans. Man is the only creature that consumes without producing, he declares. If only animals could overthrow humans, they could live free and equal. He even gives them a song, Beasts of England, an anthem of revolution. Imagine it: the horses and sheep, the hens and cows, raising their voices in a chant of liberation, their eyes shining with hope. But Orwell laces the scene with irony. Already, Old Major divides the world into us and them. Already, the dream is painted in absolute terms: animals good, humans bad. And already, we see the seeds of a movement that can inspire hope, but also, perhaps, justify cruelty. By the time the animals go to sleep, the farm is no longer just a farm. It is a tinderbox, waiting for a spark. Chapter 2, The Spark Catches. Old Major does not live long after his speech. Soon, he dies, and with him goes the wise old prophet of revolution. But his words do not die. They take root in the minds of the animals, especially the pigs, who are the cleverest of the lot. Here Orwell introduces us to three key figures. Snowball, energetic, inventive, full of ideas. Napoleon, quiet, cunning, with a talent not for words, but for power. Squealer, a master of persuasion, who can turn black into white with his slippery tongue. These three take Old Major's dream and begin shaping it into a system. They call it animalism, a set of principles declaring that all animals are equal, and that humans are the enemy. At first, the other animals are skeptical. The cart-horse boxer and his friend Clover ask simple, honest questions. The mare Molly worries about her ribbons and sugar lumps: what will happen to those luxuries if humans are gone? The sheep, less thoughtful, simply bleat slogans. The pigs counter every doubt. Comrade, Squealer explains, ribbons are a badge of slavery. And when in doubt, they appeal to unity: humans exploit you, therefore we must resist them. Then comes the spark. Mr. Jones becomes increasingly neglectful, drinking heavily, forgetting to feed the animals. One evening, the hunger is too much. The cows break into the store shed. Jones and his men rush in with whips. But the animals, driven by hunger and anger, rise up. They kick, butt, trample, until the men flee the farm. The animals look around. The humans are gone. The farm is theirs. The revolution has begun. They destroy the symbols of their oppression: whips, chains, nose rings, knives. They tour the farmhouse in awe, leaving it untouched as a museum of the old world. And at the gate, they repaint the sign: Manor Farm becomes Animal Farm. Hope is alive. History is being written. But in Orwell's hands, you can already feel the shadow. Revolutions begin with unity and joy, but they rarely stay that way. Chapter 3, Building the Dream. With the humans gone, the animals set about making their dream a reality. And the first step is education. The pigs, literate and clever, teach themselves to read and write. They paint the 7 commandments of animalism on the barn wall. Whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. Whatever goes upon 4 legs, or has wings, is a friend. No animal shall wear clothes. No animal shall sleep in a bed. No animal shall drink alcohol. No animal shall kill any other animal. All animals are equal. These commandments are simple, absolute, but too many for the less intelligent animals. The sheep, hens, and ducks can't remember them all. So Snowball boils them down into one chant: 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. This is Orwell's brilliance. Already, complexity is being reduced to slogans. Thought is being replaced by repetition. And the sheep, delighted, bleated endlessly. Meanwhile, the animals work harder than ever before, but this time, with joy. The harvest is the best they've ever had. No one steals, no one grumbles. Boxer, the great cart horse, takes up a personal motto: I will work harder. With his strength and loyalty, he becomes the backbone of the farm. The pigs, though, do not work in the fields. They supervise. Still, at this stage, no one complains. After all, the pigs are the brains of the operation. By the end of chapter 3, Animal Farm seems to be thriving. The animals are proud, united, and hopeful. But Orwell is sowing the seeds: slogans instead of thought, pigs taking privileges, and boxers' blind devotion. The revolution is real, yes, but its purity is already fragile. And so, by the close of chapter 3, Animal Farm is alive with optimism, but beneath the songs and slogans, you can already feel the cracks. Chapter 4, The Battle of the Cowshed. News of the revolution spreads quickly beyond Animal Farm. Other farmers laugh at first, thinking it will collapse into chaos. But as rumors spread among the animals in neighboring fields, fear begins to ripple. What if their own cows and horses get ideas? What if rebellion spreads? To counter this, humans try to crush the uprising. Mr. Jones, determined to reclaim his farm, rallies a small army of men. They march on Animal Farm armed with sticks and guns. But the animals are ready. Snowball, who has been studying Julius Caesar's campaigns from old books, organizes the defense like a general. When the men attack, Snowball charges bravely, even taking a bullet in his back. The animals fight fiercely, ramming, kicking, biting. Boxer strikes a farmhand with his mighty hoof and is horrified, thinking he has killed him, showing his gentle nature even in war. At last, the humans flee. The animals stand victorious in what they will call the Battle of the Cowshed. They establish medals: Animal Hero, first class for Snowball and Boxer, and Animal Hero, second class for a fallen sheep. They bury the dead and raise the flag. The revolution has survived its first great test. Unity is strong. Pride is high. And yet, as Orwell shows, the glorification of war, medals, and ceremonies begins to creep into Animal Farm's culture, just as in human societies. Chapter 5, The Rivalry. With the threat of humans pushed back, attention turns inward. And here begins the great rivalry: Snowball versus Napoleon. Snowball is imaginative, constantly sketching plans. His grandest idea? A windmill. He dreams of using it to generate electricity, powering machines that will ease the animals' labor, bringing comfort and progress. His vision is dazzling: light in the stalls, warm water, electric tools. Napoleon, however, sees things differently. He is not interested in dreams or speeches. He wants power. He quietly raises a group of fierce dogs from birth, training them in secret. The farm becomes divided. Some animals are inspired by Snowball's eloquence, others swayed by Napoleon's authority. At one crucial debate, Snowball makes a powerful case for the windmill. Napoleon responds not with words, but with force. He gives a strange whistle, and suddenly, 9 enormous dogs, his private guard, bound into the barn. They chase Snowball off the farm. He runs for his life, disappearing over the hedges, never to return. The animals are stunned. There is no debate, no vote. Napoleon has seized control. Quickly, the rules change. Sunday meetings are abolished. The animals will no longer vote on decisions. Instead, a special committee of pigs, led by Napoleon, will decide for them. It is for your own good, Squealer insists, explaining with his usual slick words that Napoleon is a genius, a protector, a leader who will relieve them of the burden of thinking. And in the final twist of the chapter, Napoleon declares, the windmill will, in fact, be built. The very idea he had scorned is now his project. Squealer explains this contradiction smoothly, convincing the animals that the plan was really Napoleon's all along, that Snowball had merely stolen it. Thus ends chapter 5, the revolution's dream has been hijacked. The animals are still hopeful, working toward the windmill. But the truth is clear: the age of equality has ended, and the age of dictatorship has begun. Chapter 6, Harder Work, Thinner Rations. The animals throw themselves into the building of the windmill. It is backbreaking labor, dragging heavy stones up the hill, working long hours in every season. Yet Boxer, true to his motto, "I will work harder," shoulders more than anyone. His strength inspires the others, but his blind loyalty also blinds him to the danger of Napoleon's growing power. Life is far from equal now. The animals work harder than ever, but their rations are cut. The pigs, however, take privileges. They move into the farmhouse, sleep in beds, and enjoy luxuries. When some animals object, but the commandment says no animal shall sleep in a bed, Squealer quickly explains. The rule never said without sheets. Beds are fine, sheets are human corruption. The animals, confused but trusting, accept it. Here we see Orwell's warning: truth is not changed, but twisted. The commandments on the barn wall begin to shift, words altered ever so slightly. And no one dares question it too much. Meanwhile, trade with humans begins. At first, this shocks the animals. Wasn't the point to reject humans entirely? But Squealer reassures them. Napoleon, he says, is only doing what's necessary for the farm's survival. The pigs, he claims, sacrifice their own comfort to make difficult decisions for the greater good. The animals swallow the lie. The cracks deepen. The animals are starving, exhausted, yet convinced they are working for their own freedom. This is the brilliance of Orwell, the tragedy of people suffering, but believing it is noble, while their rulers fatten themselves. Chapter 7, Fear and Terror. Then comes disaster. A storm smashes the nearly finished windmill to pieces. Napoleon immediately blames Snowball. Though Snowball has vanished, he becomes the convenient scapegoat. Every misfortune, broken tools, stolen food, even bad weather, is blamed on him. Fear spreads. Napoleon launches a campaign of terror. Squealer insists that Snowball is working secretly with Mr. Jones to destroy Animal Farm. The animals, though doubtful, dare not speak against Napoleon. Then the horror arrives. Napoleon gathers the animals. His fierce dogs drag out several who are accused of conspiring with Snowball. Under terror and intimidation, they confess to crimes they clearly never committed. On Napoleon's signal, the dogs tear their throats out before everyone. More confessions follow, more executions, chickens, sheep, even a goose. The animals watch in shock and terror as the grass is stained with blood. This is the moment when Animal Farm crosses from dictatorship into full tyranny. A place once meant for freedom now runs on fear. The animals huddle together, shaken. Even Boxer is troubled, but he can only answer with more loyalty: Napoleon is always right. The sheep bleat their slogans, drowning out doubt. Squealer justifies the killings with smooth logic. Sometimes, he says, loyalty requires sacrifice. The animals, desperate to cling to hope, look up at the commandments on the barn. One stands out: no animal shall kill any other animal. But now it reads: no animal shall kill any other animal without cause. The law has changed, rewritten in plain sight. The animals convince themselves they must have remembered it wrong. The chapter ends with a chilling image. The farm is soaked in fear, unity is shattered, and yet the animals are too broken, too loyal, too frightened to rebel. The dream of freedom has become a nightmare, and they cannot see the bars of their own cage. Chapter 8, The Cult of Napoleon. After the bloody purges of Chapter 7, the animals are shaken but subdued. They dare not question Napoleon openly. Instead, his rule begins to take on the glow of worship. Squealer leads the way, painting Napoleon as a genius, protector, and even a savior. His image is everywhere. Poems and songs are written in his honor. Titles pile up: Father of all animals, Terror of mankind, Protector of the sheepfold. To the animals, he becomes less a pig and more a godlike figure. But behind the glitter lies suffering. Rations shrink again. Hunger grows worse. Yet the animals are told things are better than ever. Figures and statistics, fabricated by Squealer, are read aloud: milk production up, wheat harvest doubled, eggs more plentiful. The animals, half-starved and exhausted, convince themselves it must be true. Meanwhile, the pigs alter the commandments again. One day, the animals notice that no animal shall drink alcohol now reads no animal shall drink alcohol to excess. And wouldn't you know, Napoleon has developed quite a taste for whiskey. The windmill, rebuilt after Snowball's supposed sabotage, is finally finished. But instead of powering electricity for comfort, Napoleon announces it will be used to grind corn, for profit, not for the animals' benefit. The dream of light and warmth in every stall has been quietly abandoned. Then comes the second great battle with humans, the Battle of the Windmill. This time, the humans blow the structure to rubble. The animals fight fiercely but suffer heavy losses. When the smoke clears, the windmill lies in ruins again. Yet Squealer declares it a glorious victory. The animals, too exhausted to argue, believe it. The chapter ends with a chilling contradiction. The farm is poorer, the animals hungrier, but Napoleon richer in power than ever. Lies have replaced truth, fear has replaced hope, and worship has replaced freedom. Chapter 9, The Tragedy of Boxer. Winter deepens, and with it the animals' misery. Food rations are cut yet again. Work, however, increases. But still, the animals endure, because of one horse. Boxer. Loyal, strong, tireless. His two mottos, I will work harder and Napoleon is always right, have become the heartbeat of Animal Farm. Even as his great muscles begin to falter, even as his sides ache with age, he pushes himself beyond all limits for the sake of the farm and his comrades. But Boxer's loyalty is a double-edged sword. It keeps him going, but it also blinds him. He never questions why the pigs grow fatter while his own rations shrink. He never doubts Napoleon, even as his own body begins to break. One day, while hauling stones for the windmill, Boxer collapses. His great strength has finally given out. The animals rush to his side, promising to care for him until he recovers. Napoleon assures them that Boxer will be sent to a veterinary hospital. Then comes the cruelest betrayal. A van arrives, and the animals see Boxer being loaded inside. But one sharp-eyed animal reads the writing on the side, horse slaughterer. Boxer is not being taken to a hospital. He is being sold to the knacker, to be slaughtered for glue. The animals cry out, panic, and chase the van, but it is too late. Boxer kicks desperately inside, but his strength is gone. The van disappears down the road. Squealer, of course, covers it up. He insists it was a misunderstanding. The van had been bought by the hospital but not yet repainted. He claims Boxer died peacefully, praising Napoleon with his last breath. The animals want to believe it. They convince themselves it must be true. But in their hearts, they know. The noblest among them has been sacrificed, sold for profit by the very leader he trusted. Boxer's death marks the death of innocence on Animal Farm. The revolution's truest worker, the symbol of loyalty and strength, has been betrayed. From this point on, the animals work not with hope, but with the dull, hopeless resignation of slaves. Chapter 10, The Pigs Become Men. Years pass. The dream of revolution is a distant memory. Most of the animals who fought in the early battles are gone. Only a few old survivors remain, Clover the mare, Benjamin the donkey, a handful of others. Boxer is dead, Snowball is forgotten, and old Major's dream has faded. The farm itself has grown richer. The windmill stands tall, not to ease the animals' lives with electricity, but to grind corn for profit. The pigs and dogs live well, gorging themselves while the other animals endure the same hunger and hardship as in Jones's time, sometimes worse. And yet, many of the animals cannot even compare their lives to the past. They are too young to remember a world before Napoleon. The revolution's promises are no longer a living memory, only a story retold in slogans. On the barn wall, the 7 commandments of animalism have been quietly erased. In their place stands a single chilling law. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. This phrase captures the entire tragedy of Animal Farm. A revolution that began with equality has ended in hierarchy, the very evil it tried to overthrow. The final transformation. Then comes the final scene. The pigs invite neighboring human farmers to visit. In the farmhouse, the animals peer through the windows. They see the pigs and men drinking together, laughing, playing cards. Napoleon raises a toast. Animal Farm will return to its original name, Manor Farm. The animals outside watch in shock. The pigs stand on 2 legs, carry whips, wear clothes. They look from pig to man to pig, and can no longer tell the difference. The dream is gone. The revolution has come full circle. The oppressors have changed faces, but the oppression remains. Microphone emoji, the moral of the fable. Orwell closes with a warning as sharp as it is simple. Revolutions may begin in hope, but without vigilance, they can slide into tyranny. Leaders who promise equality can become indistinguishable from the oppressors they replaced. And those who trust blindly, like Boxer, may pay the highest price. Animal Farm ends not in triumph, but in tragedy. Yet its message lives on, that freedom is fragile, that power corrupts, and that without truth and memory, even the noblest dreams can rot into nightmares. Microphone emoji, and with that, Animal Farm ends, not as a tale of liberation, but as a warning to every generation.